I'll do a quick rundown on the new items. So BT actually got changed, so now you get a shield. The shield is actually pretty nice. Yeah, it's better on Draven than it is Aphelios because of Nightbringer. Frozen Heart, they changed it to 2 hexes, and then now that Diana is actually a really good sin, and like Nocturne is really good as well. Viego is fine. Like Frozen Heart is probably like one of the better items. It scales into late game super well. It's not even bad early game. This item is just, don't worry about it. Like let me tell you about this item. So basically you gain AP. It's actually not bad, but like let's say you're playing Karma, right? Eventually her mana pool goes down to 10, so you're only gaining like 3 AP per cast, which is actually like pretty noticeable, but it's like you are using a tier and a rod, so sometimes it's like unrealistic, and I would actually prioritize like Ice Cream Cone over Archangel Staff. But anyway, Hodge, same thing. Like if you sim Hodge, I think Hodge is a really good item early game, but just be careful. Like tier is like you can make Shojin, you can make blue buff. Just be careful and just be smart about simming items. There's some items that are core in certain builds. So if you sim Hodge and like let's say you have like tier glove, tier cloak. If you slam Hodge here, like you really are making it so you can't play Karma, and then like if you slam like blue buff, then you don't really like, you need another tier, and then getting 3 tiers for Shojin. It's like kind of, it's just try to play comps that are not like, don't need to use tier. Glove is like don't mind using glove. Glove is like a really good item because it's so flexible, but tier really does enable like the 2 main AP casters. RC, this RC I think is just straight up better than the Shadow RC. Like Shadow RC is really good even on Yasuo. I know you lose the 20, like the extra 20% bonus that regular RC would have given you, and you never get value from the Shadow RC, but the extra hex is still fine, right? Okay, just keep in mind for Titans, they actually changed it. You don't gain just percent damage, you gain AP. So this item got hard nerfed because a lot of champs can't actually use the 50 AD and AP that you get, but a lot of champs can use the extra damage. Actually, no, there are some champions that can use it better. It's just this item's just not that good. Okay, so this item it's more of like a late game item. It's really good on like Darius, helps him out because HP healing is in his kit. Maybe it's okay on Mordekaiser. It's just like more so like, oh, I'm getting on Carousel, I'm just gonna like slightly increase the strength of my board because I don't want like a DB or IE in an AB comp. Chalice of Malice, it's just a strict upgrade. So you lose AP on the person that is holding it, but the other people gain more. But don't be like, oh, I have a tier and a Shadow Cloak, I'm gonna sit here, or I have a tier and a cloak, I'm gonna sit here and not slam Ice Cream even though I want to play an Ice Cream comp, because maybe I can get 2 Chalice of Malices or whatever this upgrade one is. Like if you're slamming Ice Cream, you're just slamming Ice Cream. Shadow DB is actually pretty good on like units that have like it's like weird on Aphelios because Aphelios' Nightbringer works with max HP, and if you're losing your max HP, you actually lose some of your HP from Nightbringer. But this is like really good with Runance. And the only time I actually built this, or I feel comfortable building it, is if I have like Ashe 3-star and I have Locket on a 3-star like set. I'm playing Draconic Ashe with AD Ashe. By the way, Shojin Ashe sucks, but AD Ashe is actually like carryable. Shadow IE, this item is actually pretty good. Just be careful slamming it early game because a lot of times, even with BT, you actually don't do enough damage to tanks where you get out healed the damage that you lose. But keep in mind that this is really good on like Callista because with Legionnaire it actually heals past the damage that you lost. Like this is really good on Callista holding, and then like it's really good on Nocturne because Nocturne has is an assassin, and then IE scaling with assassin is broken, but also Nocturne has built-in healing. But if you're gonna play Aphelios with this, you really need BT because your Aphelios is just gonna slowly whittle himself down. I think this item is just like a straight up nerf. Dealing 25% less damage is a really big deal. Like Zyra actually does damage. If you want to play like Shojin Ashe, which is not that good, it actually does damage. Obviously Vel'Koz does damage, Heimer does damage. This item is like, it's actually not bad. You make it so you can't take critical hits. So like later into the game, it's actually not bad, and nullifies slightly like Draven and Aphelios crits, even though it's building out of Cloak. So it's actually not too bad. A lot of times, like if you're streaking early game, let's say I have a Cloak already and I have the option to have another Cloak or like a belt. I think slamming Zephyr early game is a little bit sketch. So I think slamming this, if you already have a strong front line, maybe a sustained front line, such as like Gragas with Dawnbringer or Aatrox, this is actually a fine pickup. This item, I don't see that often. It's actually not bad, but like positioning around the late game, you actually have to move your entire board, and it's really annoying. But also like Shroud like itself, like you don't really build it until later into the game, and when you do build it, you usually don't build the Shadow variant. By the time that you do slam it, you're not going to have the Shadow item. So like the last time you see a Shadow item is going to be 4-2 or Carousel. Evo GS, it's actually a really solid item later into the game, but just know that early game, do not make this item. If you make this item early game, your unit, you just made your board like 20% weaker. It's so bad. Shadow QSS, this item actually, I see some play on Vel'Koz. But most of the time, it's just going to be a Jax item. This item sucks. It's actually like low key, it's not bad, but the problem is the AP comps, like it nullifies AP or MR, but all the AP comps, tier is like the most valuable item. Like whether it's blue buff for Karma or Shojin for Vel'Koz, but on top of that, like you can also make Ice Cream Cone and nullify a cloak. So like tier, it's like the item's not bad, but and then this can also be Zerot. The item's actually not bad, but it's not that good because it uses tier. I think this might actually see play later into the meta. I'm not entirely sure how you're build it now. Shadow Zephyr is most of the time just a straight up upgrade. They gain slight stats, but they get Zephyr for an extra 3 seconds. This item sucks. Low key, it might be okay. Force of Darkness, it's basically you get 2 extra units, but you take double damage. Basically, if you're going to send this item, you better make sure that you're actually stable. Frozen Dark Heart is a straight up upgrade. You do slow your own team, but most of the time, Frozen Dark Heart, or like it doesn't matter if you slow the attack speed of your Rel Nautilus, and then like later into the game, like Frozen Dark Heart on Diana and like the Sins is never going to grief each other. I think if you're playing Assassins, I think regular Frozen Heart is better because all of your units are jumping to the back. But most of the time, if you're just running like 2 Assassins, like Frozen Dark Heart is better. Shadow GA, keep in mind that even though you res with you only res with 80%, they changed it. It's more so a frontline item, because if you think about it, like even if you put this on like Vel'Koz, right, you don't want your Aphelios to lose attack speed, so obviously you wouldn't go Shadow G on Aphelios. But even like Vel'Koz, let's say Vel'Koz reses, your Vel'Koz is going to attack once every 10 hours, and you gain 10 mana per auto, and then even if he reses, his DPS is just straight up just 0. A lot of times he'll just sit there and do nothing, and then just get killed later. Shadow Ginsu is actually really good, especially on units with self-sustain. It's also really good with like Wrist Thirster because you're losing some of your HP. But this item is also a lot better on units with built-in healing. Nocturne, but it also pairs really well with BT. I actually haven't made this item that often. It really isn't bad. It's like a leftover like carousel item most of the time though. This item is it's not too bad. Slamming it like mid game, especially when you're playing a comp that doesn't use tier and belts such as skirmishers, it's not too bad. Locket is this is Shadow Locket Keck FF. Shadow this item got nerfed. It's not 25% reduced damage. Now you're gaining like armor and MR. It's beyond garbage. It's not even garbage. It's like trash. It's hot trash. Shadow Morello is really strong late game, but it's like a scaling item. It's really bad early game. It makes it so your brand doesn't do that much damage. It makes it so your Kennen does a little bit less damage. It might actually be better on Kennen, but it's definitely not better than regular Morello on brand, and it's definitely not better than regular Morello on Morgana. But later into the game, I think Shadow Morello is better on Morgana. It is better. Oh, it won't be on brand, but it is the best item on Volibear. And a lot of times late game boards with this item is just so strong. Shadow JG, this item is really strong. One caveat with this is they actually changed it. It's not 65% critical damage. They standardized it to 40% critical damage, but you gain extra crit chance. Just keep in mind that this item is really bad on Karma because it baits you into building Gunblade, and Gunblade sucks. Well, it doesn't suck, but it's just like you don't really need the heal because you have Dawnbringer anyway. You lose 15% of your maximum health per cast, so like you probably don't want it on Ziggs early game. On Vel'Koz, there's a broken interaction. Vel'Koz casts, does the entire channel, and then takes the 15%. So it's like it's actually not bad on Vel'Koz even if you don't have Gunblade. Also, Mordekaiser is the same way. You cast after the ult's over, then you take the 15%. It's actually pretty good, but this is like really abused on Vayne specifically because Vayne never casts and just gets the 40% crit chance and crit damage, and having your ability be able to crit. Like this item is just really good. Rabadon's is really good. I usually don't notice the minus 25% health because casters, if they're jumped on, they're dead anyway. It's just like hard to build because it's 2 rods. And then usually you want to save a rod from Morello. RFC is, I think this one is slightly worse. It's probably better on Kale or maybe even Draven, but don't really worry about too much. It's almost the same value as regular RC. I think Wrist Thirster is worse on Draven, but it's better on Aphelios, and it also pairs really well with Shadow IE, Shadow Ginsu, stuff that really does like hurt yourself when you are attacking. Shadow Runans, just keep in mind that this is basically no longer going to be on hit. Runan's Shojin doesn't work anymore because Shojin is now on attack, but Shojin is on hit. Or Runans is on hit. So Runans on hit means like Vayne passive would get proc. But Shadow Runans will not proc Vayne passive. But Shadow Rudons is especially really good. It deals 50%. It's actually nerfed on like Jax because skirmishers just gain more and more and more and more and more AD. But also this item's interaction with DB is really good. So I would recommend building this if you're looking for a DB, especially a BF sword opener. Shadow Titans don't really work. Don't worry about it. This item's not very good. Dark blue buff is pretty good. You can use it on LeBlanc. I see people put it on Rise. Keep in mind that with Invoker, Shadow blue buff and the cutoff of getting 15 AP, they buffed it to 15 AP, does not change how many autos it takes to, or how many autos it takes for Karma to ramp up. So this item is just straight up the same as blue buff on Karma. Refracted Bramble, it's just like an early game item. I wouldn't go out of my way for it. This is like actually pretty good on units that heal percentage max health, such as Darius. Also pretty good on Volley Bear because he does res with Revenant. This item is actually pretty good on Nocturne because you can steal some frontline. But usually it's a little sketch because you are losing a BF sword and belt, and you lose the ability for GA Morello, which is probably just like the two best stuff that you can do for the set. This item is definitely getting nerfed. C0 as well. That is the end of the guide. I'm going to do a tier list closer, probably in like a couple days. Closer to when the set actually releases, because there's going to be new patch notes and stuff. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'll probably, like, for these videos especially, I'll actually read the comments and I'll try to answer some questions there. The item is the same. I think Armory is the same thing as getting an item off carousel. So naturaling, like, you natural less items this set, so it's a little bit like less important, but it's still somewhat important. So if you don't know what I'm talking about with blockers and items and stuff like that, definitely check out the item guide. It's still relevant, even though the item holders are going to be different. Hopefully this content is helpful for you guys. Let me know if you have any suggestions for new guides. I bet.